Good day, everyone. What a great, fantastic morning here in sunny Winnipeg, Manitoba. I am in the heart of Portage and Main, the windiest intersection in the entire country. I'm thrilled today to be here with Dr. Fatima Kakkar for another episode of the CMV Checkup. Dr. Fatima Kakkar, a pediatric infectious disease specialist at the Sainte-Justine Université de Sainte-Justine and an associate professor at the Université de Montréal. Do not want to mispronounce that one. Welcome to the CMV Checkup.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you for having me.
I'm so glad you're here. So glad you're here. I remember when we met the first time, and the passion that you exuded for CMV and the work that you do. And now, fast forward, I don't know how many years later. Now here we are collaborating on so many different projects. We'll talk about one of the projects that we're collaborating with you on in a bit. But first, tell me a bit about kind of your background, your story, why you got involved with CMV, and where you're at right now.
Sure. Well, first off, thanks, Rob and the foundation for getting the momentum, because you're right. Years ago when we met, CMV was sort of just thrown aside. And I think that's how I got involved as well. So I actually I'm an infectious diseases specialist, and I trained to specialize in HIV. So prevention of transmission of this other virus from mother to child. And then I followed kids who were exposed to HIV, who have HIV, and I developed my research career looking at this. And so we have this fabulous setup in Montreal where these kids have been taken care of by a whole team of specialists. So not just
doctors. It's unbelievable. It's so unbelievable.
But the thing is, initially it was just HIV. And I felt kind of bad because in my other clinic downstairs in the basement of the hospital where sometimes CMV kids came through. And these kids didn't have a regular pediatrician. They didn't have a physiotherapist, a nutritionist, a pharmacist. And, they were sort of the orphans of the ID world. And they weren't even always seen by infectious diseases. Sometimes they were in the community. And, a child with CMV will talk about all the issues, but there are so many issues that they really need to be taken care of. So I felt bad because on the one hand, I had this I called it this first-class system where my HIV exposed and infected kids were getting all of this amazing care with a systematic follow-up, and we had research associated, and then my poor CMV kids were being seen, if at all, in sort of an unstructured clinic by different people all the time. So that's what prompted me. I'm trying to remember, maybe about 5 years ago, I remember I had a really, really tough CMV case, born to really young parents, had a lot of high needs. And so I remember I was the physician on call, so this was my patient, and I was supposed to send her to the community for follow-up, and I just felt so bad. So I told my nurses in the HIV clinic, listen, there's another patient I'm going to bring through. She has another virus. It's just one kid, so don't worry about it, but I think she really needs physio or everybody. So we slipped her in, and it went so well because she got all the care and the follow-up and the social work and everything that she needed. So 1 became 2, and then 2 became 3, and then slowly my team in the HIV clinic really started to adapt to this new virus, and it was going so well. So then we broached the hospital, and we really set it up so that we moved from just an HIV clinic to a congenital clinic. And that's how CMV has become so important, because CMV is the most common congenital infection. So we've taken that same infrastructure that was set up, and now we've applied it to CMV. And that's sort of the backward way as to how I got involved.
I love that story so much because everyone, you always hear people bitching about our healthcare system and how rigid it is and how, you can't flex in any single way. You saw something that was unfair in your own eyes, a problem with the current setup, and you took initiative and you did something about it. And as a result of that, kids now are having what I would call the gold standard treatment of CMV in the entire country. And I'm so proud of you and the work you've done. I'm so glad you did what you do, and congrats for doing that, because otherwise those kids would still be, piecemeal seen in the basement or whatever it may be. And now, as I understand it, it's basically become a CMV infectious disease clinic, correct? Because there are very, very few congenital HIV cases. Because congenital, for those viewers at home, means from mom to baby, I think I'm paraphrasing. But so there are very few HIV cases from what I understand now.
Exactly. Actually, we have more new CMV cases per year for sure than we have HIV. And so we really, to expand, we hired a new doctor from Vancouver, Dr. Soren Gant, to come work with us just because our numbers are getting that high. So we want to really maintain that medical expertise. And I really have to shout out to my team, because this team really quickly learned about a new virus. Our physiotherapists really studied how to best help these kids, or nutrition. Everybody has been so motivated to actually take on this new virus and these patients. And So hats off to the team for being open and the hospital for being open to us really expanding our practice.
What a truly wonderful and wondrous clinic, or I don't know if clinic's the right word, center, I guess. I was lucky enough to attend the grand opening, I want to say back in 2018, 2017, I don't know when it was, but it was just unbelievable. And I spoke there, and you had the donors there, and you had such a wonderful setup, and you had the parents there. And these parents were directly benefiting from the work that you guys had done at the Sound, is it the Sound Infectiologie Mère Enfant? Is that right?
That's it.
Yeah, the SIM, as we call it for shorthand. So
Yeah.
you guys have set that up, and now you got Dr. Soren Gant, big hire. I'm going to say I'm a big fan of Dr. Gant. He's been on the CMV checkup before. I think he's a leading mind globally. What's happening in CMV, and now you got him in Montreal. Good for you. Hopefully he picks up his French real quick. I know he's got it, but how's that going?
We're working on it. We're working on it.
All right, so good. So I'm so excited to hear about all the development there and the work that you've done. So thanks. I do want to talk about the collaboration that we've had with you with respect to some of the research work that you do. So maybe first talk about how Quebec's a little different in the screening methods that you guys use. I understand, well, I know that urine is prominently involved, probably more than anywhere else. So maybe tell us a bit about that, and then we could ask you about our collaboration.
That's great. So I think most everybody understands Quebec is its own country. Essentially, we do it very differently, which has its advantages because on the one hand, for example, when I wanted to start actually testing blood viral loads in all my babies, there was nobody to tell me no. I felt as a medical expert, my team felt that testing the viral load for all children was going to help me in deciding what to do and how to follow. So nobody blocked me, and that helped us. So we now actually do viral loads in all babies way before it was recommended or way before people were thinking about it. And that really helped us understand how this disease progresses, how this disease responds to treatment, and who are the most symptomatic kids. So viral load for us has been really helpful. So on the one hand, it allows us to do things that potentially other places might be more restrictive because we have our own laws, our own governing systems, and we get to sit on all the committees and make our own decisions. So that's the plus side. And then we also tend to do things differently. So in the rest of Canada, when they talk about newborn screening, it's really just in blood. So everybody's doing a dried blood spot for all kinds of genetic tests and all immunodeficiencies. So it's all a test. But Quebec, back in the 70s, decided that blood wasn't enough. And so they set up a urine screening for newborns where parents are sent home with a diaper with a urine screening card. And at 3 weeks of age, they mail this back. They mail back the baby pees in the diaper, and they mail back the card to the urine screening program. So since the 1970s, this program has been in place. And so Quebec, in addition to blood, has had a urine screening program. Now, extra cost and extra manpower, of course, but the advantage is that certain cases, for example, on the metabolic screening, or it might be picked up in the urine card. And it's been super successful. Nearly 90% of parents return the card. So in addition to having that dried blood spot at the hospital, we have this extra urine screening. So, it was there, it's been there for genetics, but the more we all got involved in CMV, the more we realized that as a screening test, for sure the saliva of the child is the one that has the highest yield, but the urine is even better because there's much more virus excreted in the urine. So as a screening test, the best option is really the urine, followed by the saliva and then the blood, because sometimes the viral load in the blood isn't high enough to pick it up in the dried blood spot. So we put 2 and 2 together and we realized we have this incredible screening program that's actually underway and that works well. And so we have the urine card stored on thousands of babies here in Quebec that we could potentially test for CMV. So without getting parents to do an extra step, we would use the urine they're already using to screen for CMV. So the idea is actually first to make sure that it works. And that's where, with the help of the foundation and the American CMV Foundation, we're going to pilot a study where we're going to compare for the cases that we've had. Let's say we have about 60 kids who are under a year of age with CMV. We're going to compare their urine card, which is in the system already, to their dried blood spot, to the amount of CMV in their saliva and their blood to see which of these tests works the best and if the urine works well enough. Because if we can show that just testing the urine is as good as these other samples, we can propose to the government that we just go ahead and screen all babies in Quebec using urine.
And that's what we want. We want universal screening. We need to start screening every single baby. And I've always been a proponent to screen well, first of all, I'm a proponent to screen. However, let's just start screening. But if we can get, if we find out that the urine is effective and efficient and cheaper and easier, let's do that. Seriously, like I don't really care how we do it. Let's just start screening them. Hey, I'm curious about the timing. Okay, first of all, the cards, they go into the diaper and they just actually send that card in, right?
Yeah. So the parents were sent with the diaper and the card in the diaper and all the envelopes and with a list of instructions. And essentially, they're told that between 2 and 3 weeks of age, you just put the diaper on the baby when he pees, and then you remove that card. It gets air dried and it goes straight into a sterile envelope, and then that gets sent straight to the urine program.
How about the timing of the test and the potential for starting an antiviral, like again, valganciclovir or something like that?
Yeah, so actually in the past, it used to be done at 2 weeks of age. So it was just for technical reasons that they moved it at 3. So we could definitely move it back. If we were to find that this is what we want to use, we would move it back to maybe 1 to 2 weeks of age, or basically as soon as we can to get it in place. And the advantage of PCR testing is that it's so quick.
PCR testing for our viewers?
It is so fast. So if we could get that up and running, then we would have a rapid turnaround. And the other exciting thing is, though, our friends at the urine screening program are super excited to collaborate with us on this. They're in the midst of developing these new forms of technology called metabolomic markers, which look at biomarkers, which is even faster than PCR. You basically just shoot it through a machine within seconds. You know whether that sample is positive. So they're excited to partner with us to actually develop, in addition to PCR, this whole new technique that could be done at minimal costs and sort of worldwide on all of these existing platforms to see for CMV. So we're going to share some of our specimens with them and help them try to develop that technology, which hopefully could be widespread. So they're super excited and they're on board to partner with us to, in addition to PCR testing, to actually look at these new technologies for diagnoses.
So if you're a parent at home and you're wondering, wow, this is so great, the momentum that's happening here, how do I get involved in all that? Remember, you can go, you can reach out to us at our website, which is, I believe on the bottom here, or www.cmvcanada.com. You can email us at info@cmvcanada. You can reach us out on Instagram. There's a whole bunch, check out our Facebook page. There's a whole bunch of different ways. We need parents in La Belle Province. If you're a Quebec family right now and you're there and you're sitting here like, I'm a CMV parent, I could help out, Rob and this Canadian CMV Foundation. You can always help. We work directly with wonderful healthcare practitioners like Dr. Fatima Kakkar here, who's doing some of our work. And this story that you just told, for those of you who are wondering what does CMV Canada do, this is part of what we do. So in addition to lobbying, in addition to supporting, in addition to advocating, we directly fund research that is relevant, that is important, that's innovative, that is going to help the outcome of babies long-term. Research is not a tomorrow thing, but so this is one of the studies that we decided to partner with this year. So we've given some money so if you've donated ever to the Canadian CMV Foundation, some of the money that you've donated has generated interest, and it's an endowment fund. And now this year we donated some of the money to this research. We're thrilled to be partnering with the CMV Foundation in the U.S. To get some results, and let's find out whether you're in or you're out. Right? You're in. It's pretty good. That's pretty good. So we're thrilled to be partnering with you. Maybe you could tell us a bit about so you're also on the medical advisory committee of the CMV Foundation, CMV Canada. Tell us why you chose to get involved with our organization.
Well, first off, thank you so much for putting all this together, because we as ID docs, for the longest time, have felt that CMV has been an orphan disease. It didn't have the momentum. It didn't have a network. Really, it didn't have any advocates for it. And until you have parents and a group and an organization pushing for testing and treating and just getting the message out there, nothing happens. So even though we've all been talking about CMV for years, some of my senior colleagues have been talking about it for their entire careers, it never really moved ahead. And I think years ago when you started this and you got all of us together and we all met for the first time, we realized that the interest is there. But as you know, as physicians, we're like 1,000% busy trying to just see our patients and navigate this. So we don't have the necessarily time to put all of this together. So having this platform, having the foundation, and having you guys on board and organizing us and sort of pushing to move things forward is exactly what we need. So I was thrilled, and again, we remain committed to helping you guys however you need to just continue what you're doing. So get the message out, help people be more aware, help to raise funds for this and help us lobby our governments for the change. It really takes an organization, a structure, but also with the buy-in of parents like you, Rob, who had a child with CMV to really move this agenda forward.
Yeah, I think it's definitely it needs to be a team effort because we can't do it. We can't do it on our own as parents, and I don't think you guys could do it on your own. So that's a team effort. Parents that are advocating, governments listen for some reason, which makes a ton of sense because it's their babies that are being impacted, that are either dying or being, they're deaf, they're losing their hearing, whatever it may be. It's my kid, right? It's my kid. So therefore, the message is a little stronger. And I am super excited about what's happening nationally. So I talked about La Belle Province, but if you're in Manitoba, if you're in PEI, if you're in Vancouver, BC, because Vancouver is not a province, for those of you who don't know, you're in BC, we need your help. We need parents. And I mean, there are now discussions going on with multiple governments right now for universal screening. Mark my word, it is coming. It is coming soon, and it's coming to your province. So if you want to be part of something big, if you want to help, pass legislation or pass protocols, which is going to dramatically impact the lives of babies in the future, this is a huge movement right now. And it's going to be special. And if you want to be part of it, please reach out to us. We'd love to have you. Dr. Kakkar, last couple questions, last couple words. How do you feel about the pandemic? What's happening kind of relative to CMV and in your world? Has much changed or is it kind of life as usual? And what do you see in the future for CMV relative to COVID?
Yeah, great question. Life, unfortunately, has changed more than we can recognize it. And there's been some good and some bad. The challenge, of course, is that COVID has taken over everything. So COVID is the number one priority for every government, every individual, every hospital, every system. So unfortunately, other infections and the momentum to move forward on other things has decreased. That said, parents of children with CMV are just as active. And so we're not neglecting the care, but it's taken its toll because all of the people normally involved in these structures have been seconded to COVID. But that said, one day COVID will end, but that's been the biggest challenge is just getting the manpower and our research infrastructures and getting things back to where they were before COVID. But the plus side is that people are much more aware of viral infections. So, there was this first potential case of congenital COVID, which created panic worldwide. And so the amount of awareness for infectious diseases, preventing infectious diseases has just skyrocketed. So I think we're going to have much more momentum in the months ahead because people are aware of the impact that infections can have. So on the plus side, it's really raised the agenda of infectious diseases here at our research center, within the government, but also globally. So I think we're going to capitalize on that to really get CMV at the forefront because COVID will be over, but CMV unfortunately still remains.
Yeah, we don't have trillions of dollars being spent on a vaccine right now for CMV. Hey, do you have congenital COVID cases? Are you seeing some of those patients?
So it's
what's the outcome?
Yeah, so we have, and they're fine. They're completely fine. So the babies born to moms who had COVID at the end of pregnancy so far are fine. Now there's been one reported case of a congenital that wasn't as well, but the kid did well, but there was just brain findings on the MRI. But the kid is now walking and is fine. So it is very, very, very rare to have congenital. So let's say 1,000 pregnant women have delivered with COVID, there might be one real congenital case. That's very different from CMV, where out of 1,000 women who deliver, maybe 100 will have real CMV congenital infection. So again, the numbers are not at all comparable. There is way more CMV out there, and there will be way more congenital CMV than there will be congenital COVID. But people's attention and panic is not there. So I hope this raises awareness so that people will take this seriously when they just put these numbers in perspective.
Yeah, I remember the congenital Zika craze and less than a handful of congenital Zika infections in North America or something like that. It was like we were all freaked out that all these mosquitoes would give Zika to the moms and they would pass on to their babies and the babies would have serious impacts. And lo and behold, and meanwhile, CMV, I'm president of the Canadian CMV Foundation, but I'm allowed to say this. We need to pound the table. We need to be aware of CMV. So hopefully it does raise the entire awareness for infectious diseases, as you mentioned. That would be a big win, I think, if we had that.
Completely, because I think for me, the biggest tragedy is when I tell parents about CMV, when I explain to them that their child has CMV, The most heartbreaking thing is that nobody has ever heard of it. They've heard of toxo because of the cats, and they know not to touch cats, but they don't know about CMV. And they've heard about Zika. They all know about COVID, but they still don't know about CMV. So I think that's where this foundation is key for the messaging to get out there so that people are aware of it.
That was exactly my wife, Michelle, and I's story 12 years ago when we found out that our son had CMV, which is what started this entire process. So it does need to change. It's getting better. Trust me, 12 years ago, it was way less on the radar than it is now. So hopefully we are making a difference. I want to thank you for your time. I know you're incredibly busy, Dr. Kakkar, and thank you for all the work you're doing with COVID. I know a lot of your time is going towards that right now. Thank you for basically being on the front lines there. Thank you for all the work you've done at Sainte-Justine, Sainte-Justine. You're a superstar in your field. I'm so thrilled to have you on the Canadian Medical Advisory Committee. You're a fantastic human being. Thanks so much for joining. And I wish you a great day, and I wish all our viewers a great day. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, to follow our Facebook page, to like our Facebook page as well. Oh, and I do need to mention, sorry, before I let you go, I do need to mention the CMV, the live series of the CMV Public Health and Policy Conference webinar series. It starts in 2 weeks, Monday, August 31st, all the way to September 4th. It's going to be every day at 12 Eastern, 11 Central. I'm in Central Time Zone, so I can say that. Don't miss it. Every day for 5 days. We're going to have some fantastic speakers. We're basically going to have the conference virtually, and it's going to be unbelievable. Check out our YouTube page, our Facebook page for more information, or I guess our website for more information. And again, thank you so much. I will for sure see you there, right? Virtually?
For sure.
All right. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.